Good day, folks. This is Chris Teron checking in for TradeTaxPlus Center of Excellence. This first video for August deals with the question that was raised by one of our members. Now, what the member asked was if a non-resident places consignment stock in South Africa, then they receive orders for the consignment stock and arranges that the consignment stock is delivered to a South African recipient. Is that an enterprise carried on in South Africa for VAT purposes? And must the non-resident register in South Africa? Now, that's really just half of the question. There's also similar circumstances where a non-resident receives an order from a person in South Africa. The non-resident then places an order with another supplier in South Africa, instructing that supplier to deliver the goods to the person in South Africa. Now, in terms of the VAT Act, Section 11(1)(q) of the VAT Act specifically says the supply by the South African person to the other recipient or the recipient in South Africa is a zero-rated supply, provided that the recipient, the final recipient in South Africa, acquires those goods wholly for taxable purposes. So it provides for that, but then SARS sometimes takes a view and says, but that section is only aimed at dealing with once-off transactions. So if the transaction happens continuously and you continuously place these orders, that then the non-resident starts conducting an enterprise in South Africa. Now, can you see that's not significantly different from a non-resident placing trading stock in South Africa and then orders when orders are placed on the non-resident to simply give an instruction, deliver those goods in South Africa. Let's make it much more practical. What about everybody buys on local platforms, and one of them is Wish, for example. Now, if you place an order on Wish, what happens is the non-resident then places an order for those goods, and those goods are delivered to you. And that order can be placed, normally it's in China, but it can also be placed anywhere in South Africa. Does it mean Wish needs to register in South Africa as a person conducting an enterprise? Now, the critical issue is, what does activity carried on regularly and continuously in South Africa, what does that mean? Now, carried on seems to connote some kind of physical action. You need to be doing something. You can't just give an instruction. And so this differentiation seems to be between, is it a legal instruction? Does that legal liability or the right or the obligation to do something legally, is that an activity carried on, or does it need to be something more physical? Now, that hasn't been cleared at all. There's various views. There's some views, very strong views, that you can't have an enterprise if you've got no capacity in South Africa and you're not doing anything in South Africa. All you're doing is giving instructions. There's also another school of thought that says you have to look at the legal nature, and there might well then be an enterprise in South Africa. And until this is cleared by SARS or by the courts, when somebody takes this to court, there will always be this uncertainty. But I think the important thing that comes out of this is that we need to consistently challenge these things, because the world we live in changes consistently. We wish it wouldn't, but it does. And we will have companies like Wish that will do business in this manner. And we need to change law or amend the way or adjust the way we think and apply law in line with how industry changes. So hopefully that's something to think about. Also, give us your thoughts. Tell us what you think about this video. But from TradeTaxPlus, me, Chris Teron, it's me checking out for TradeTaxPlus Center of Excellence. Done.